finally don't have to be someplace this morning or within the next couple of hours. The weather is gorgeous. It's a little breezy, but it's not incredibly cold. So the goal today, before it gets rainy, cold, or anything else again, is to get some cleaning up done in the garden. I am off to go get the garden cart. And I'm going to bring the garden cart, which has 2 bales of straw in it, that are going to go right over there. And I laid out the beds the other day so we know what the locations are going to be. So, onward. And I have to remember not to whistle or sing so that we don't get a copyright strike. Because I almost always whistle or sing. You're not allowed to do that unless you sing something that you either wrote yourself or that someone else is allowing you to use, or they get mad at you. They did that to us the other day when we were, I guess we'd gone to Cracker Barrel for lunch. And in the background, they were playing their music really loud. And we got a copyright strike. I had to go back and take the blasted thing, take the sound off that part of it. I can't help if they were playing their stupid music too loud. I didn't even recognize it because it was some country music and it wasn't even good country music. But yeah, knowing that, we have to be careful. You don't realize how much of a hill that is until you have to walk up with it while holding something. And unlock the gate. Gate swings out. Unfortunately, when we built this yard, we had intended to do something different with the fencing. And as many a local rancher or farmer will tell you, the most permanent construction is a temporary fix. So, Henry got me this cool garden cart, had some friend of ours build it for him from some plans. Great garden cart. I have to leave these bales of straw here because this is as close as we can get to where they're going to be in a reasonable fashion. Because this section over here, we have to pull back the gravel, clean up the gray stone that's the bluestone that's here, fill this level with regular dirt. We've got some crappy dirt back there. Put down hardware cloth, landscape fabric, build the 2 new beds, put gravel on top of the landscape fabric, fill the beds, etc., etc. So this is a multi-step process. I need this garden cart to haul stuff away with. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's get this underway. And what I can do is I can use this, and what I do is I scoot it over there, and then I use a pitchfork to throw the stuff over the fence. This is what happens when you wind up with a bucket of weeds. It sort of starts to compost in here, which is okay, except I really don't want anything from this yard in my compost. Okay, there we go. Now, I think we'll do this one here because it's right where I'm standing. Still have strings on, ropes on here, not strings, from last year. This was ground cherries. We're considering not growing ground cherries in the garden this year. They are very, very attractive to potato beetles and cucumber beetles. So you wind up fussing with them a lot. And I don't like spraying. I can spray with BT, which is a very non-toxic thing, but I still prefer not to if I can avoid it. So we also had trouble last year with the hailstorms. Did so much damage that the plants, I won't almost say they didn't ever come back from it, but they didn't come back all that well because this section was not covered. It's hard to cover everything, and that's one of the sections we didn't get covered last year. And the plants were so beat up. So we're kind of thinking about raising them in the greenhouse this summer. We're already kind of working on a plan for that. I do need to clean up all of these seed heads here. This is basil, or basil as my English friends would call it. I am going to throw a few of the seeds out because I want them to randomly come up as they are wont to do. We like having the basil come up sort of randomly. We are, however, going to be trying some new basil this year. This is Genovese, which is your classic, very flavorful basil. It is susceptible to stuff in the United States, and it also tends to bolt quickly in our area and stuff like that. So I went on a quest. I had heard that there were some new varieties that are more bolt resistant, that are more disease resistant, and I found some at Johnny Select Seeds. They have 3 different types that are more disease resistant, don't bolt as easily, etc., etc. And they're designed for professional crops, growers who are doing entire greenhouses full of this stuff for the herb market and can't sell something that looks a little ratty. At home we can sit there and pull off a couple of leaves, work around this, work around that, and it's fine. But I wanted something that still had the same level of flavor because we're growing it for the flavor. And that's the critical, most important thing to us, is the flavor. We're not there for just the looks. So I'll have to look up the name. I don't remember it. It's a usual combination of unattractive names that they sometimes come up with for for seeds. But and I think it's got a number thrown in there too. But there's 3 different kinds. One is the super large leaf basil. Another one is a dwarf one, and then there's a sort of, I think, a medium-sized sort of one. And they're all supposed to have the same really good characteristics. So we picked the short variety, I think, if I recall correctly. I'll check that. And we have hopes. We have it. It's sitting there in our seed boxes, and we'll see. We'll see. I need to collect these little stakes that hold my drip irrigation in place as I go, and get this out of the way. This is the part of the drip irrigation I don't care for. This area here was planted in purple beans, royal purple, last year. We had a very successful harvest. We have, however, decided not to grow the purples this year. We just want to try a different one. The royal purples are an heirloom. You can save the seeds. They have good flavor, but most heirloom seeds like that, while productive, will, if you don't pick them very regularly, they'll get stringy and overly large. And yes, last year we had such success with our provider beans that we honestly had to ask ourselves how many more beans we need. Now, the coolest thing about growing purple beans is if you are a preserver, like if you make dilly beans, You do a cold pack on your dilly beans, and then you can them in the pressure canner. And what will happen is, now if you've ever grown purple beans, there's some other purple things that do the same thing. When you cook them, the red goes away. But the green beans just turn green again. I mean, they're purple beans, but they turn green. When you cold pack them and then can them, the red color from the beans is not completely lost the way it would be when you would normally cook them or blanch them for freezing. So what you wind up with is you wind up with a brine in your dilly beans that is pink. And I just think that's cool. I really think that's cool. That was pretty much what we were growing them for. And to be honest, we have a backstock of dilly beans. We do like the flavor. There's a different flavor. Every color bean that you grow, whether it's a green or a purple or a yellow, will all have slightly different flavors to them. It's just like tomatoes, where you get different flavors to the tomatoes. So we decided we wanted to still try and grow purple. Now, we've tried this one variety before. We had a total failure, but we had a lot of problems that year, so we're going to give it one more shot. And if it doesn't work for us, we'll go back to something else. It's called Velour. It's from Johnny Select Seeds, and it is a purple bean. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. It's got all these great recommendations in terms of productivity and all everything, stuff like that. But you can tell me anything you want to. I say show me. I may not be from Missouri, but show me. One of the things I see all the time here is people who are new to the area and have had success in other areas will come in, guns a-blazing, knowing everything. Well, I'll tell you what, this is a different environment. And having lived in just about every major grow zone in the United States, I can tell you that every single one is different, that every single yard is different, that every single color of soil is different. And the requirements of your microclimate may be, oh, what the heck, one of the big YouTube channels, Homesteading Family, okay? They live up in Idaho. Their previous homestead was in Idaho, but it wasn't that far away. I don't even think it was 100 miles from where they currently live. But they have discovered that the weather in their current environment is like 100% different than the weather was in their previous location, which is not, I think it's less, like I said, I think it's less than 100 miles away. But it's that microclimate thing. And they have had to do some major adjusting. And they'll be the first ones to tell you that, oh my goodness, they've learned a lot of things the hard way there, because all of a sudden, you know, their frosts are later in the spring, their frosts are earlier in the fall, it just doesn't warm up as fast in the spring. I mean, they've just had a real set of challenges. So, you know, if somebody as knowledgeable as they are is shocked and sometimes dismayed by the things that they've encountered, you know, you have to accept the fact that when you move, things will be different. And don't come in acting like you know everything, because the locals are going to turn their back, because they don't want to hear that. You know, the I can do everything, you can do better approach to life. I am always willing to listen to a new idea. I am always willing to listen to a new variety, a new theory of something, because, you know, maybe it's something I haven't heard about. Maybe it's something new. It's like somebody asked me yesterday when I mentioned about the basil, where do I get it? And I told them. And because I want to share that kind of information.